We are 22 West Radio, the next wave of K-Beats. 22 West Radio is 22 West Media and 88.1 FM, KKJZ, HD3, Long Beach, Los Angeles. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is the Golden Spotlight. And at this time, I'd like my guest to please introduce himself.
Hello, my name is John Kindred, and I'm a community activist here in Long Beach, California.
Excellent, excellent. Now, the first thing I like to do when I have my guests is I like to start off from, the very beginning. As this show is, like 55 minutes, I love to get, like the origin stories, starting off first with, what was life growing up like? Did you have siblings? What was K-12 like?
I have 5 brothers and sisters. I'm the oldest, and I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, which back in those days, it was like, kind of hard with racial problems back then. They still had the bathrooms and water fountain restaurants were white only, black only, and so on. So it was not some place that you would want to live at. And my parents didn't like it back there. So we moved to California in about 1960. And here I grew up mostly in a mixture of different cultures most of my life. So I got the chance to meet people from different cultures and firsthand, and it made me the person I am today.
And how did you cope with, like the restrooms and stuff being like that, dealing with stress and all that?
Being a kid, you really don't understand, but you just know something's wrong, and it didn't feel right. And you always wanted to know what was wrong, but being so young, you didn't know how to ask, and you didn't know what it was, but it's just that feeling you get that something's not right. And to this day, being a grown person, I don't even go back there. Even though it's my home and I have family back there, I refuse to go back there.
So growing up, what were your interests back then? What did you enjoy doing as a child? Did you, have a favorite sport that you like to do? Were you in clubs, or what happened?
I like playing football and basketball like most kids. We would play football and basketball. When the sun comes up, till the sun goes down, until my parents called me in the house to eat dinner. Back then, kids still played in the streets, sports and stuff. Not like today. You either play at a park or you don't play at all. Back then, we played a lot out in the streets and stuff like that.
So what about, when did you notice, the changes in like the school systems and stuff were changing?
Well, I guess the first time I noticed a change in the school system when they stopped serving real hot food in the cafeteria. Back in the days, we used to have cooks in the cafeteria. They actually cooked and everything. Now everything comes in on truck, microwave, preheated, and so on. So I started seeing that big change and everything. And from there, it just went kind of downhill. Education was different. And I don't know. Never been the same to me.
And what about, like when you mentioned that there was like segregation and stuff like that, do you remember like Martin Luther King speeches and all the different activists at the time growing up?
I didn't really pay much attention to them. I would hear about them, see them on TV, because my grandparents and my parents would be watching them. But I really didn't pay much attention to them until I think the riots after Martin Luther King got assassinated. And I happened to be spending time with my grandparents, and I remember they were watching TV, and I remember hearing them saying California, and I saw these buildings on fire and stuff, and people out in the streets, And I was thinking about my parents back then. And that was the first time I really thought about it, and it really dawned on me, you know. And since then, I kind of to be more aware of what was going on.
And what were your siblings' reactions to all this as well?
They didn't think about it too much. They're younger than me, and out of my brothers and sisters, I would say I was the most sensitive one. You know, I was always worried about what people thought about me, what they were thinking and stuff like this, where their minds were towards playing or having fun. You know, being the oldest, you kind of learn things different, being the firstborn and everything else. And your grandparents kind of like, you know, treat you a little bit different, being the oldest one. So I got more attention in some ways when it came to things.
So when you got to grow up witnessing unfair treatment and stuff, what was your earliest like memories of like seeing strong figures represented in the African American community and like, you know, like in movies and the music industry and, you know, strong figures that, you know, were role models?
I would say about 60s. I used to like hearing the songs from the Temptations. Stevie Wonder was a big thing, a lot of his songs. Back then, you heard a lot of songs about pollution, equality. If you ever listened to Stevie Wonder or Smokey Robinson and certain groups, you remember a lot of their songs were political. And so that really started me to listen to things. And then later on, the Chicano movement came along, and I had a lot of friends that was Hispanic, and so I listened to that. And then the Black Panther movement was going on, and so I started to listen more and see a lot of things that I didn't know back then. And too, the Vietnam War came in. I was doing the Vietnam Time War, and the flower children and the hippies and everything. So I paid a lot of attention to it. For some reason, it got my attention.
And what about Muhammad Ali?
When I first saw him, I thought he was a good boxer, but I thought he was a show-off. At the time, he was still going by the name Cassius Clay. But as I got older and listened to what he was saying and why he was saying it, I realized that he wasn't just another boxer. He was a boxer that was really intelligent, and he was fighting for equality for everyone. And he used his boxing skills and everything to express his political views and for people to listen to him. And it changed the way I was about him. And I didn't like boxing, but I liked when he talked. You know, he was very intelligent and made a lot of sense in what he said and what he did. And I admired him when he didn't join the military and why he joined, you know, and everything. And it was good to see him come back into the ring later on in life and everything. And to this day, I don't watch boxing, and but if somebody came on like him and talked like he did, I'll probably watch it just to hear what they had to say.
So, walk us through what was high school like? What did you know? What was next in life? Did you know, what school you wanted to go to? When did you reach those decisions?
Going to high school, it was kind of during the busing time. People were getting bused, segregation, different schools, whatever. I grew up mostly in Carson, but I didn't go to Carson High School. I went to Banning High School in Wilmington because the way it was set up with the busing and stuff, you know, they wanted to get balance in the schools. And my first year at Banning, was the year they had the big earthquake, and our main villain was Red Tag. So I spent my 3 years at Benny in bungalows most of the time, and in a few classrooms they were still around. We didn't have gym class. Our gym class was at Banning Park, playing horseshoes and just hanging around. Unless you played a sport, you really didn't have a gym class. And there was a time when a lot of the games started getting popular, and we had our share of games, you name it, and it was one of the games there. And I really had the chance to meet a lot of people from different cultures, and it was great. I mean, I learned how to skin dive, how to surf, about street racing, low riders. I learned about different cultures and cooking and things like that. And it felt good to get invited to their family functions. Most kids, you learn about stuff through a textbook, but I actually got to experience it, and everything. And it was pretty fun, especially when their families treated me as part of the family, And when we would come down the streets, the people that I hang with, people call us the UN, United Nations, because in our group there was blacks, whites, Chinese, Samoans, Romanians, and so on in our group. And so our group reflected people from everybody in our neighborhood, and we didn't see it any different than anything else, because everybody in our neighborhood was from a different group. And so it was normal to us. And our high school days were pretty fun. Kids back then were more involved with each other. Today is different. Kids are more involved in their iPad, their cell phones, whatever, and really don't spend the time reacting with each other face to face, and they're losing a lot. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but with technology, it has a good side to it. It also has a big downside to it, because a lot of things that I know today, if we had back then the technology, I wouldn't have the experience today of the things that I learned from people, and that one-on-one reaction, face-to-face.
As you saw, changes in your community and various different ethnicities, when do you see, what was your experience like after, senior year and stuff like that? What happened next?
My senior year in high school, it was pretty easy. I only had 2 classes my last year, because I would go to summer school every year, and so I had more credits than I needed. So I only needed a few credits, and back then, you only need 150 credits to graduate compared to now, where I think they need like 300 or 400 or something like that now to graduate. And so I had a full-time job, so I would go to school for 3 or 4 hours in the morning, and then I had the whole day to myself, and I had a job at a gas station, and I would pump gas, and after work, I would go down and street race. I was one of the few black street racers in my area at the time, and I hanged out mostly with street racers and a few of the band clubs back then, because back then bands became a big thing, and there was a lot of band clubs back then, and so I knew a lot of the banners back then. And high school was pretty fun, but I wasn't too much into high school. I didn't even go to my graduation or my prom. It just wasn't me, even though my mom was a little upset about that, because she was a college person, and she still belonged to her sorority until the day she passed away about 2 or 3 years ago. And I was just glad to get out of high school, and it was fun, but some things for me wasn't just wasn't me. I was kind of the person that liked to hang around people. At the same time, I was a lone wolf type at the same time. In high school, now that I think about it, I wish there's some things that I did different. You know, I've gone to some of my class reunions, and it seemed like a lot of my classmates has gotten older faster than I did. You know, and I haven't gone to the last class reunions. It was kind of depressing for me.
And so, afterwards, when did you choose, how did you know what college you wanted to go to and stuff?
Well, I didn't start off straight to college. I didn't think I was college material. I was one of those students with special needs when I was going to school, in which they really didn't catch it while I was in school. So, you kind of have a low self-esteem about yourself, and you really didn't know what was going on. Because back then, we didn't have what I have now. A lot of things, they know a lot about ADHD, bipolar, learning disabilities, and so on. Back then, you didn't hear about that stuff a lot. So, as far as getting help, it was really not really there. And so I got jobs that I was good with physically. I'm one of those hands-on persons. And so I did warehouse work a lot and so on, and a little construction companies I worked for. And then I got into trucking because I always wanted to be a truck driver. And didn't take too much reading, like some jobs do. And I felt good at it because I was being a street racer. You like to drive, and you like things with power to it. And nothing's like power, like a big rig, with 15 gears to it. And I did that for quite a long time. And college didn't come until some years later on down the line.
And walk us through, what was your first day like in college? Did you get to, start off with friends? What was the new environment like to you?
Well, it was a culture shock. When I first started going to college, I started in the summer class, and I was the only guy in the classroom. It was in child development. I always wanted to help people like me, and I always thought about going into special education and help people, because when you're a special needs student, you kind of know personally what it's like, what students go through, your low self-esteem, no confidence, being teased by other people, and sometimes by your own teachers, and the limitation that it puts on you on going for your full potential. And so I wanted to get a job in special education and helping others. And my first summer I started school, I took 3 units, and actually I did pretty good, and I enjoyed it. When I first went, I didn't know what to expect. I was pretty scared and nervous because I never went to college before, and never even had a taste of it at any level. But when I went through it, I enjoyed it, and I came back the following semester full time.
That's nice. So, did you get to partake in activities on campus as well?
Yes. Over time, as I got more comfortable going to college, and got to learn about things and saw other people, I started to get involved in political things. The school's ASB, and through the ASB, I went up the rank from club board president over the clubs at one of the campuses, because at the time I was going to Long Beach City College, and they have 2 campuses, and so part of the ASB is divided up to the campuses, and I oversaw the clubs at the PCC campus. And I got to do things that allowed me to bring my personal experience in life to the student clubs, and we did things a bit different for the first time. And I started to get clubs to work together and reach out to the community to work with us. When I was there, we did the first haunted house that I ever did, and it went on for a while until maybe 3 or 4 years ago we did it, and we did it so successful that the parks would bring their students there, and people would ask us as soon as the fall semester start about the Halloween carnival, because we did so good, and I used to love it. I even got a black eye a couple times. Scared people so good that they freaked out and decked me in my eye and everything. And then I even got the chance to get Best Buy, and our students put some money together, and we did an opportunity drawing to help single parents with kids. We did a turkey raffle and a TV raffle. Best Buy had matched what we had in money, and we raffled off a screen TV with VH and DVD recorder. It was never done before. And we did a lot of things for the first time that was never done. And from there, I was asked to move up to and run for ASB president, and I did. And I did it for 1 semester. And when I was there, I looked at Cal State Long Beach shuttle bus program, and I thought of a way that it would be good for Long Beach City College. And even though I was told by a lot of people that it wouldn't happen and I couldn't make it work, after 2 years, it happened, and it's now 9 years, and it's still going at Long Beach City College. And it felt good to see students be able to use it and everything, because it was hard trying to catch a bus to the other campus to be and to be at class on time. So a lot of times, if you got to school late, you got locked out of the classroom. And I know a couple of times, myself personally, I got dropped from a class because I would get there late sometimes, because you count on the bus to be on time, and all you need is just one accident or a bus breakdown, and that's it. So it was good to do something. And it gave me inspiration that no matter if you can read good or not, you still can do things. You know, you may do things different, and your learning is different, but once you know your weakness and your strength, you still can almost do anything. Even though I wasn't one of those students with a 4.0 and I could read real good, there were things I could do that they couldn't do. So that experience taught me a lot. And from there, I got involved in a lot of other things. The Constitutional Committee, the Environmental Committee, a number of committees over the years I took part in. And then later on, I became a student activist. So whenever we had issues on campus about students, our programs being cut, or the funding being cut, or our teachers not getting support from administration or the Board of Trustees, I would go alone or with students or the faculties or others and speak for the Board of Trustees. And as I got more and more experience from that, I found my voice, and I got a reputation of being somebody that spoke for the students and the teachers, and it felt good to help people. Didn't always win, but we won sometimes, and sometimes I kind of made the board pretty upset. Some of the students had a saying. It says, one of these days we won't see John, because they're going to take him out one of these days, because he sometimes speaks up too much. And when they get mad, they don't know what to say, because I would sometimes bring their minutes their past minutes. Because I had a reputation, I would go online and look up the school's regulations, policies, and any minutes from any meetings where they spoke about the same issue, but gave a different opinion. And I would say, well, you said 2 years ago in this meeting, you said totally opposite. And when they would deny it, I would bring up in black and white a copy from their minutes showing what they said. And the last thing somebody wants is for you to show that they're not telling the truth. And so when I would come to some of the Board of Trustees meetings, sometimes they would get a little nervous, you know. And it felt good to know that they recognized you, you know, and I was doing a good thing.
Most students, there's some students who, you know, they end up going to class and then they go straight home. Tell us the importance of getting involved.
Well, college is supposed to be a place where you learn to tune yourself. So when you get out of college, you know, to be a leader. If you're going to school to have some kind of job where you're going to be a leader or a profession, college is where you go to make those mistakes, tune yourself to be the kind of person that you're trying to be. And by me going to college and not just sitting there going to class and going home or going to the game room and just play games, it gave me a chance to see what's going on. And I found out I wasn't just a student. I was the same person when I came there before I became a student. A lot of students act like when they go to college, they gave up whatever they had. When I came to college, I was already a parent. I've already been in the workforce. I was an adult. And so when I became a student, I just added on another title to already what I was. I didn't give up anything. But most students act like they gave up. You know, it's like they reverted back to being in high school, where, you know, in high school, students don't speak up. And I took the time to go online and read about the school policies and regulations, what goes on in school, the school politics. And the people at school, the Board of Trustees and administration, they're public servants. And their job is to serve the community. But also, too, it's our job to ensure that they're serving us in our best interest. And if they're not, we then need to ask ourselves the question, is it our fault, their fault, or whose fault? And if you know somebody's doing something wrong, and we're doing nothing to correct it, we're guilty as they are. And so I started to learn and get involved, and I helped students when I could.
So after that, tell us about all the jobs you've held leading up to where you are today.
First job, 9th grade, I was a dish boy. A friend of mine's his name was John too. I can't remember his last name. He was Jewish, and he was one of my neighbors, and we grew up together. And he got me a job one day. So my first job, I was only in the 9th grade. That was my first paycheck. And then from there, I got a job at school. They had a program, a work experience, where you can work like 15 hours a week, and you got paid. And I helped the custodians clean up and stuff like this. And I had fun. You know, we talked. And I'm on school, so it was like you never left being at school, just you're doing it from a different angle. And I learned a lot after school and cleaning up. And then from there, I had a job at a gas station, pumping gas and everything. And they gave me an experience dealing with the public and some very interesting people and things that they go through. And that prepared me a little bit more. From there, I went to warehouses, working in warehouses, and I met a lot of people. And back then, the minimum wage was only like I think $1.75. You know, so that was pretty low. And people had apartments back then, making $1.75 an hour. You know, you can't do that now. And from there, I got into trucking. I got a job unloading trucks and I talked to the terminal manager that I wanted to be a truck driver, and they allowed me to come in on my own free time during the week and practice how to drive the big rigs. And I would practice, and whenever I had any questions or a problem learning, I would talk to some of the senior drivers when they were in the yard, and they would show me stuff and how to get around certain things. And within a month, I was taking my driver's test, and I got my license, and they threw me, I guess you could say, to the wolves, because they stuck me in downtown LA and in Hollywood, the worst traffic you can be in, and I didn't have not 1 hour of experience, under my belt, and I got real good at it, and I found out I had a talent for driving, for getting around in traffic, and how to do things, and I became pretty good, and I drove for about 16 years, and but during that 16 years, I got hurt a number of times, and the last time I got hurt, they told me I had to make a decision about driving trucks, because the injuries I had staying over the years, and the last one made it to the point to where if I got hit again in a big accident, I could be paralyzed for life or in a wheelchair if I wasn't careful. And so that's when I went to school.
And then what happened afterwards?
Graduated from school with my first associate in special education, and I came back and stayed in because I was a lot of my classes had allowed me to be a dual major, and when I got my associate for special education, I stayed in and got my associate for speech communication, and especially since I stuttered a lot, or sometimes I would get that cold feet and I couldn't get my words out. And by being in speech communication classes and everything, it allowed me to find my voice and get in front of the class and speak. And over time, I got real comfortable and I got real good at it. And I found out that I really had something to say, to the point sometimes you can't shut me up once I start talking. And I stayed in school, got more involved in things at school still, started getting involved out in the community. I helped start the first civil engagement club at the campus before I left there. And before I left, I got a certificate in adult elderly care, because some of my work experience was working with people with special needs and children from first grade up to adults up into their 90s. And so it allowed me to do a whole lot in those areas and helping people.
And after that?
I looked at maybe finding a job, but a lot of jobs wouldn't hire me because of my injuries and stuff, and if they knew about it, and eventually they would find out. And I did try for 3 or 4 years to get into Cal State Long Beach under the college promise that Long Beach City College, Long Beach Unified School District, and Cal State Long Beach had between each other. But like a lot of students from Long Beach City College, I couldn't get in, even under the DPS program. And the fact that I had 2 associates and a certificate and thousands of hours of service hours, I still couldn't get in. And Dominguez had offered me to come into their programs many times, but I wanted to come to Cal State Long Beach, and I live in Long Beach. And then plus, when you catch the bus, you want a school close to home where you can get to and get back to without any problems. And when I saw that I couldn't get to Cal State Long Beach, I turned my attention towards being an activist, and I got more involved in different organizations here in Long Beach. And as I became more involved, I found I had an interest and a talent for helping in these areas, and I got more deeply involved in our community. And since then, I've been involved in different levels and trying to get students from Long Beach City College, Cal State Long Beach Unified School District, and our different organizations that we have in the city, and our teachers and others to come together, because by working together, we have a lot of power, and we can do a whole lot more. Long Beach is a great city, but we don't do close enough what we can to address the problems of Long Beach in the way we should.
So, before we get into the organizations, I want to squeeze in these two questions. I always ask my guests. So the first question is, where do you see yourself after retirement?
Well, I'm retired now, not by choice, due to my accidents and all my injuries, plus my disabilities. As long as I could keep doing things and help people and feel that I can be of a great assistance in helping others, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing until the day I drop dead. And I'm hoping to live to be 120. That's my goal.
The next question I ask my guests is, what would you like your legacy to be?
To be remembered as somebody that really cared about his community, his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. And I was somebody that practiced what I preached. And if I could do it, anybody can do it. You know, doesn't matter if you're disabled, if you're one of the smart kids, if you're a troubled child, rich, if you're gay, if you're from a different culture, whatever. None of that should ever stop you from being all you can. You know, no matter who you are, we all have a purpose, and we all can make a difference. You know, a lot of times, when you look in the past, in history, one person did a lot. You know, Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, you know, a whole list of people, you know, and none of them were rich, you know, when it comes to finance. But what they did have was their passion and their love and what they believed in, and they didn't give up. So we all have that chance.
How can people contact you?
I'm on LinkedIn, and then you see my whole profile, everything I belong to, by my email or through my phone number. One of the organizations that I belong to, or anybody that knows me, they have my blessing and give it all my information, you know, and everything. I'm always trying to reach out to people to get more people involved in changing things, you know, and I'd be more than glad to help anybody, you know, because I think we can do a whole lot.
So tell us about the various organizations right now, the various causes that you've been working on.
I'm with the Long Beach Great Panthers. It's an organization to address aging adults. We don't say senior citizens, we say aging adults, because we're doing better than some of our children. We're in better condition than some of them are. And we try to bridge the gap between our baby boomers, Generation X, and millennials. Even though the young people are not where we're at, they still we have a connection. And we try to show that connection because we need each other, you know. And so we try to get engaged with all the different groups. And we even have our youngest member at the Long Beach Great Panthers is 2 years old. And he's the youngest member on record. And we have some members are in their 20s and 30s, you know. So it's not just about senior citizens or aging adults. So and we get involved in political, environmental, housing, social security, education, and a lot of things. So a lot of things that a lot of other groups involved in, we're also involved in too. and we're now getting stronger again. And we're a national organization, and we're here in Long Beach, and we have our first meeting every month at the Senior Center on 4th and Orange at 10:30, first of each month, each Saturday of each month. I'm also with a Libre. It's an empowered grassroots group on housing. You know, Long Beach has some of the worst housing problems right now, and fortification and evictions and things and so on. And Long Beach is over 60% renters, but yet not even 5% really gets involved in what goes on here. And now we're working on rent control here for Long Beach. We want to see rent control on the ballot in November, where the voters can vote on rent control, and also too more protection for renters. You know, because right now a landlord can pretty much evict you for anything. You know, I mean, you can be the best tenant they had in 20 years, and if they decide they want to evict you because they want to raise the rent on that unit, they can do it. You know, there's no repercussion really on that. So really, you don't have any protection. And we now see a lot of our seniors are now becoming homeless. They're starting to be the #1 population on the streets. And a lot of them already have health issues. So if you have a health issue and you're on the streets, you're going to deteriorate real fast and go down the hill. And so a lot of those people you see on the streets, they're not drug addicts or alcoholics. They're people that just have mental problems, and down on the street, they deteriorate it even faster. And then homeless, and the students are having a hard time graduating because they're homeless. So this is a big problem. I'm with Don't Waste Long Beach. We're trying to make Long Beach zero waste. We waste so much in this city, and a lot of organizations that deal with pollution and littering, environmental and health issues have some of the same problems. They overlap each other. And so we're a coalition trying to bring people together, different groups, to address this in Long Beach. And we've had some success. We've got City Hall to go for a styrofoam ban here in Long Beach, and hopefully pretty soon it'll be coming back up on their radar, because right now it's election year, so you know in election year public officials don't want to talk about certain things right now that might jeopardize their chances of winning. So a lot of things won't be coming back up until after the elections in April. I'm part of Long Beach 350. It's an environmental organization. The Cerritos, Citizens Climate Lobby deals with climate change and environmental issues. I'm also with Housing Long Beach. I'm with the Cambodian American Association, one of their coalitions for substance abuse for underage children and teens and other things. I'm with the Coalition for Smoke-Free Long Beach. We work with the Long Beach Health Department, and we're the ones responsible for the parks, our beaches, and the bus stops to be smoke-free. And this year we're working on trying to get all our outside dining restaurants to be smoke-free, because you can't contain cigarette smoke. And it'd be great to see where people can eat and bring their families and even their dogs, because dogs can get cancer too. And we want to get Long Beach to be a healthy city for everybody, environmental. And there are some other ones. There's so many that I belong to that sometimes I forget how many there are. Sometimes I have to look at my profile, look at some of the ones. And right now I'm with Building Healthy Communities with an event we have coming up March the 1st. It's called the People's State of the City. And it's going to be a number of environmental, health, civil engagements, civil rights, and other organizations coming together at one time to discuss things. And it's going to be a big event in the downtown area. And it'd be a good thing for people to come out and see what's going on in Long Beach and see how they can get involved and have a voice and everything. And we're looking for volunteers right now too. So any of you college students out there or high school students that need some service hours, or if you have a class where your teacher would give you some extra credit, come on out. We could use some volunteers, and we can write you off on that. And
So we're almost down to our last couple of minutes, but what I also like to ask my guests is, I always like to think that, we never know who could be listening. Chances are that there's someone listening that wants to follow the footsteps of the guest. They have the degree that they specifically want in life. They have the career that they want to. They're just inspired by this guest. What tips do you have for people that want to follow in your footsteps, and especially those that are too timid, too shy, or they don't know necessarily, they're not good at public speaking, but they want to kind of know, what's the first steps to get involved?
I would say, one, don't never give up. And never sell yourself short on what you can do. I never saw myself doing this. If you had asked me about 20 years ago, I would shake my head and say, it wasn't me. But over time, by being around people, starting to see things that I cared about been done wrong, I found that voice. And by being with people, they gave me that encouragement. I would say, get involved in things. Start out in the background and work your way up. Over time, you will find your voice. And 9 times out of 10, it will come without you even knowing about it. And you realize you found your voice years after you found it. And get involved. Talk to people. Don't be scared. Instead of going online, playing video games, and going on Facebook playing games, take some time now and then. Take 15, 30 minutes. Do some research and see about stuff. We say we got the best tool in the world in our hands. That cell phone, that iPad, or that laptop. You can find anything online, but you gotta want to find it.
Also, I would like you to mention, I remember before we got started, you were also bringing up about how, sometimes college students struggle financially or dealing with homelessness. Tell us about that too.
Last year, I'm one of the co-founders of the Long Beach Environmental Alliance here in Long Beach. And last year, we, doing one of our cleanups, we decided to do a food drive. And we raised 170 pounds of food for the food pantries at Long Beach, at Cal State Long Beach City College. And this year, we plan on doing 2 more this year. And I'm also, I asked the Long Beach Great Panthers if we could start doing that. And so we put that on our agenda, ask our members. Homeless students, you have a voice too. Get involved with organizations that's trying to change things. You need to stop, how do I word this? Stop worrying about it so much and started doing something about it. Because when I was going to school, they called the homeless crisis epidemic. Okay, this is back in the 90s. So what is it today in 2018? And this didn't happen overnight. This has been going on for years. And Long Beach has 3 cities within a city. And what I mean by that, Long Beach Unified School District, Long Beach City College, Cal State Long Beach, they all have somewhere between 20 to 40-some thousand people. And a lot of them are homeless or struggling. Even some of the teachers are homeless. And we need to start coming together to address these problems. Students need to come together because it's not just about you today, but it's about your children and your grandchildren. And if it's bad for you today, what's it going to be like for your kids and your nephews and nieces? We need to start to coming together. It would be great if you could see all the students come together and the community come together and address this issue. You know, because until we do, it's going to keep getting worse. We got a president that don't care about us the way he should, and we're going to have to come together and make a difference, or who knows? I've seen more college students that graduated or dropped out of college that's homeless now in the streets. You know, more and more. So we got to do something to change it, and it's not working. And it'd be good if our media would get involved in trying to get people involved. You know, our school newspapers, our local newspapers, our radio stations, you know, and everybody try to help do their part to encourage people to get involved, because they have a responsibility too, you know, to the community, you know.
I want to thank you for taking the time to be here in the Golden Spotlight. We have about one more minute left, but once again, I want to have you remind our audience how they can contact you.
You can reach me by my email address. It's Night Embraced It. It's INGHTEMBRACED at AOL, or you can go on LinkedIn and type in my name, and you'll see everything, you know, that I talked about today, the different organizations I belong to on there. You can reach me that way, and I'm also too on YouTube as a Multicultural 7.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes this episode of the Golden Spotlight. Until next time, folks.